Hello and welcome back to the channel, Dan Talks United. We won. It was very close there at first. That first half was absolutely shit. And obviously we were playing against the shittest team ever to grace the Premier League, or that's the way it's looking anyway. So it would have been really, really embarrassing if we'd have let that slip in that first half. And you're just thinking, you've got to 1-1. When we've got that first goal, you're thinking, right, yeah, let's go. We can batter this team because they're absolutely shit. And then we let them come back 1-1, and you're thinking, oh, here we go again. And it's like, if you can't even beat Wolves, who are, like I say, the shittest team ever, then Amorim, you'd have had a lot to answer for. But anyway, let's get to it. And by the way, I'm getting a message from a friend called Steve Richards. Probably not watching, but where are you? Where are you, Steve? When it was 1-1, you were coming at me. But obviously someone's got to support Wolves, don't they? Anyway, let's get into it. So, final score was Wolves 1 and Manchester United 4. So, scorers, we had Bruno with 2 goals. So, Bruno again on the score sheet. Mbeumo gets 1 and Mount gets 1. So, in terms of the first half, then, I think, again, to be honest, the overall tempo was quite fast, to be honest, from Manchester United. They came out of the traps. You could tell they were wanting to sort of get that early goal, because I know Amorim is he sees it as really important for us to score that first goal, because when we go down, that's where we've got an issue. I mean, most teams do have an issue when they concede. However, Manchester United in particular, they struggle. So to get that first goal, you can see that there was that desperation. Bruno was at it, and Cunha was definitely trying to get that goal against his old squad. Boomer, Ahmad, you name it. So everybody was trying to score, and it sort of led to a lot of shots outside the box and what have you. So, like I say, came out of the blocks, but for me in that first half, I felt that the sort of was allowing Wolves to give us a bit of a game. So, as much as we were at times all over them, there was also times where we were on the back foot and Wolves were attacking us. Now, there wasn't too much danger of them scoring many goals or anything like that, because I think when they got that first goal, that was their first goal in 9 hours. So it just shows how bad Wolves have been. So I just wanted to have a quick look at the stats. So we had 64% possession, which again, I always say doesn't really make a difference, because it's all about what you do with that possession. So you can have as much possession as you want, but if you don't actually do anything with it, you don't have sustained possession and build up and actually score any goals, then what's the point? So we must have had the record amount of shots as well. So looking at this, we had 27 shots in total. They had 8. So it sort of shows the difference there. In terms of shots on target, so we had 10 in total. So just to give you an overall view there of how this panned out, again, I would say that the scoreline has flattered us, and that's what's led me to name the video what I've named it, as in papering over the cracks. Yes, we've won 4-1, but are we papering over the cracks? Because, like I say, in that first half in particular, that was poor, and I can only imagine that Amorim has sort of laid into the players at half time, because embarrassing. So, as I can see, a couple of comments there on screen. SJ there saying that the first half was shit. Yes, it's what I've said as well. That first half in particular, I'm not saying the second half was fantastic, but that first half was absolutely diabolical. And like I say, when they'd scored and levelled it up, I was like, here we go. We're actually gonna be the first team to give this lot their first win. Now it's bad enough giving them their first goal in 9 hours of football. That's a long time, 9 hours of football. But to give them their first draw, or even first win, that would have been disastrous. So yes, as the comments say, embarrassing performance. So going into the second half, then. Well, I suppose I need to sort of talk about Bruno's goal, don't I? Because that was quite comical, to be fair. You saw Cunha, so you saw Casemiro sort of half pressuring the Wolves midfielder, I think it was, or defender, and he saw the opportunity to nick the ball and nicks the ball. It goes off then to Cunha, who sort of drives into the box. Really, I don't even know what that was. I think it was an attempted pass to Bruno that was running into the box. Somehow, Bruno's battled for it with the defender. He's managed to sort of swivel and spin and sort of get a shot off, which was scuffed, and somehow it's trickled into the back of the net. And obviously you're going to take that, but it was a comedy of errors from Wolves, definitely. So later on in that half as well, sort of Bruno sort of chipped one over from a free kick, and for me, Dallow's got to score that. He's 1-on-1 with the keeper. And okay, the keeper saves it, but for me, he's got to finish that. But I know, obviously, Dallow's not a striker. So, like I say, they get their first goal through Bellegarde, I think he's called. And like I say, neat finish, don't get me wrong. I think, again, we had lapse in concentration in that defence. Not sure. I'm going to have to watch it back. I'm not fully sure whose fault it was. I know Bruno was doing the normal sort of waving his hands about and sort of blaming everybody else that was on the pitch. But like I say, quite a nice sort of... They crossed it in, and then I know it went to the other far side then, and it was quite a nice cross back in, sort of half-volleyed cross. It sort of bypassed everybody, and then it was kept in. And then a scuffed sort of cutback, but a really neat finish from Bellegarde. So, okay, you've got to sort of give Wolves their due there. They sort of attempted to come back there. One thing that did surprise me, though, is that they were a bit more attacking than I thought they'd be. I thought they'd sit back, be sort of constant in that sort of low block, but they did actually come out and attack and were wanting to win the game, to be fair. So at least give him a little bit of credit, but again, once we'd started that second half, there were no substitutions from Amorim in the start of the second half. Went with the same team. I didn't really see any real sort of tactical tweaks or anything like that. But we did come out fast again. I do think that we did start that second half a bit better than the first half, a little bit more controlled, if you want to call it that. And I think once the second half started, I would never say that we ever took control of the game, but it felt like we were a little bit better in possession. And again, you had Cunha sort of driving at their defence, and you could sort of sense that urgency and that desperation from Cunha that he wanted to really get a goal against his old team. So he kept going, but I wouldn't say that Cunha particularly played well in that game. But again, he was doing what he normally does and picks the ball up and drives. I think he was probably a little bit unlucky at times where the ball didn't quite get past to him with the right weight. So again, he did have an early chance, a bit of a cutback. I can't remember if it was Ahmad now that cut it back, and he sort of blasted it high over the bar, Cunha. And then we had the bit of a momentum shift then when we got the goal through Mbeumo, I believe, got that next goal then. It was quite a nice, neat passage of play, to be honest, and a bit of a through ball, and then a cut back at the end, so it was a bit sort of FC 26 sort of type goal, or if you're my age or older, FIFA type of goal where it's sort of almost passed into the back of the net or walked into the back of the net. So that was good. And then there was a neat finish from Mount as well. I thought that was a neat finish. I think that was the fourth goal, and before that we got a penalty. Now the penalty for me, I felt that the sort of shout in the first half was more of a penalty for me, because I know maybe the ref and VAR was sort of saying that the ball sort of hit a bit higher up the arm in that first half, but it felt like there was a bit more intent in that one as well for me. So I thought that would have been a penalty, but it wasn't. And then in the second half, there's probably a little bit of an action towards the ball, and it did feel like it was a bit lower down the arm. So in any case, it probably evened itself out getting that penalty. And as always, Bruno dispatches his penalty. When I was watching it, I was thinking, there's no pressure here. We're already winning. Bruno's just got to do his normal thing and dispatch. So he's gone low into keeper's right, bottom corner, and routine for Bruno. Thinking as well, where we're sort of in control of the game, and you think to yourself, come on, Amorim, let's not have anything silly happen here where someone gets injured or anything like that. And I would have thought he would have done some substitutes a bit earlier. It's funny, actually, because in this game where it feels like he's got away with it, he's brought on two centre-backs. 68th minute, Yoro and Martinez comes on. You could probably say that's a little bit, well, obviously defensive, but it's like he's shutting up shop again early. This time, whereas he didn't get away with it in the last game, this time he's got away with it because we've obviously gone on to win the game. But again, I think we've just got to sort of question Amorim's substitution sometimes. Still struggling to see a substitution that works. So, just looking at some more comments, it feels like there's some issues with comments coming through, to be honest. But yeah, so as SJ said there, nice to see Mano come on. Might be a bit of a piss take, but he's come on earlier this game. Trying to look at his body language a little bit and see what he was sort of, again, one of those where I have to look back at the highlights and just see what he were looking like. But again, we all know that he's wanting to play, which is fine. He hasn't, to my knowledge, said that he wants to sort of leave permanently. He just wants to get out there and play. So he wants to go out and learn. And I just think it's he could have come on much earlier, especially in a game like this. To be fair, some people might have argued that he could have started the game. However, I would definitely say that he should have come on that little bit earlier. That wouldn't have caused any issue. I think, again, you're sort of risking injury to either Bruno or Casemiro when you do that. So, again, is he right in his press conferences when he's saying that Bruno is his competition and he's fighting for a position against Bruno? But if I'm not mistaken, he's been subbed on for Casemiro. So, is that true? Who knows? So, in terms of sort of individual sort of performances, I won't rate because I think I prefer to sort of rate players or the full squad when we've played a bit better, really. But in terms of a man of the match, let's say, sort of close between a couple of players, really. But I'd say, and obviously it's not always fair just to go off goals and what have you, but I've got to say it's going to have to be Bruno. Again, I'm saying it in a way like I don't like Bruno. Bruno is like probably my favourite player. It's just that I've been a little bit pissed off with Bruno with his performances at times more recently. I do understand it's where he's playing in the squad. He's playing in that sort of 6/8 role and a lot deeper anyway than normal. And obviously I prefer him in the number 10 position obviously in a traditional 4-3-3, number 10 position. Not so sure he'd suit number 10 in this system, because I know Amorim wants his 10s to have way more well, not energy, because he's got a lot of energy, but way more sort of control on the ball, be able to sort of drive forward with the ball and interchange and go wide where necessary. So whether it'd suit the number 10 in this system, not sure. But at the same time, I think a lot of us would prefer to see him in the number 10 in any case, because it doesn't seem to quite work in that sort of deeper role. Obviously, we get away with it because we're playing Wolves, who are, as I keep saying, the whipping boys. So he got his assist, got his 2 goals, and that's my man of the match. Strong performer, because, like I say, for me, although other ratings that I've seen just before going live would probably suggest that Cunha or maybe Mbeumo have played better than this player, but I would say in terms of a strong performer, I'm going to go with Mason Mount, and it's mainly for the second half performance. I think he was full of energy anyway. I think it's very difficult when he's trying to press and the rest of the team are a bit disjointed in the press, because you always look a bit silly when you're running around trying to press and nobody's supporting you, because you do need that support in the press. However, second half, I felt that, again, still high energy, full of energy. Really lovely passes with a lot of swag on it. Got a really nice goal as well, nice finish. So I think overall he had a strong performance. Want to see a bit more of Mount, to be fair. Wasn't sure about him when we first bought him though, because I just didn't really see how he was going to fit really. And obviously he's coming under Ten Hag, but I didn't know how he was really going to fit. But I think in an Amorim system, especially when we're not playing a striker, it does seem to work. Again, because of his energy, his pressing ability, his passing ability as well. Not overly keen, I think that he's that great at beating his man, but definitely can pass, definitely can cross, definitely can finish when he's confident. So look forward to more of that. So yeah, just looking at the comments again. So I've got some more comments about Ahmad. Yeah, I agree with that actually, because both SJ and Maz are in the chat talking about Ahmad, especially in the second, well, in fact, the first half as well, to be honest. I felt that we all know Ahmad's decent on the ball, and for whatever reason, gets called little Messi in training because they can't get the ball off him. But again, standards aren't very high in our training, are they, with the players we have? But I think sometimes he takes that too far and he just holds on to the ball too much. He just needs to pass the ball that little bit earlier. I think you get like your Mbeumo or your Cunha that make the run. And you could see in that second half where Cunha was going absolutely mad at Ahmad about just not releasing that ball. And I think we had that chance of scoring again. And obviously we need to get goals on the board, because our goal difference, I mean, especially last season, our goal difference was like minus for, I don't even know if it finished minus in the end of the season, but it was always in minus area, and it's just embarrassing. So he just needs to improve on that, because there was times where he was frustrating me as much as Anthony, the fidget spinner, used to frustrate me. So yeah, I agree there that he just needs to release the ball a bit earlier, because he was a bit greedy there. And he just needs, I mean, he had moments where he was linking up with Mbeumo really well, and I've talked about this in other videos, and it just feels like he's regressing and going back to that early days of just holding onto the ball and trying to be the match winner. And I think we've got enough players that we don't need, or enough players with to lift that technical flaw, because that's another thing I was going to quickly mention, is that I think the technical flaw of the team is quite low. And what I mean by that is that you can even see in midfield where you've got Bruno and Casemiro, and pretty much a lot of the time, maybe not so much in this game because they had a little bit more space, but a lot of times they're almost trying to, it's that hot potato football, and they're trying to get rid of the ball really quickly. And I do like to see one-touch passing at times, but I think I don't want to see rondos when you're playing a match. You do rondos in training where you're upping your skills in round control and passing the ball off and passing the ball in tight spaces, but I don't think there's a need for it, especially when you're playing against Wolves, where you just want to grab hold of the ball, look up, see who's in space, and knock it around a bit. Keep hold of the ball and sort of tire. I'm like, you don't need to tire Wolves out, the shit, but tire the team out and keep hold of the ball and make that possession count. So it is a bit of a worry that. In terms of underperformers, I don't really want to say underperformers, so I sort of changed that. So I'd say sort of like quiet players. I will say Mazraoui did seem a little bit quiet to me. Again, it's one of those where I'm going to probably have to watch it again and watch the highlights and just watch it back a little bit because you do miss things in the moment. I don't know what you guys are like, but when I'm watching the game, I'm sort of tense at times, especially if we're not winning or if we're one goal ahead, and I'm always thinking, oh my God, Wolves are on an attack. Are they going to draw it level again? So it kind of throws you a little bit, but it did seem a bit quiet. But I'm not going to sort of say because we've won. I mean, this would have been completely different if we'd have lost, but because we've won, I'm not going to sort of say that anybody's sort of underperformed per se. Now, as always, I know we've got some comments there, but please, anybody that's watching, just put your comments in. And obviously, if you happen to watch this video after live, please put your comments in who you think or who your man of the match was. Who's your man of the match? Who's your strong performer in this game? Do you agree with what I'm saying? Don't have to. Obviously, everybody's got their own opinions. And then if you did feel like there was anybody that underperformed, that's also a welcome comment as well. So, in regards to what the result means then, league position, I believe we're in up to 6 now. I mean, it's just sad times where, I mean, the smile is about winning because you've got to smile when you win. It was times a bit of a struggle when I thought before going live, I'm thinking I do need to be positive. I do need to smile because we've just won. United, we've just won. But it wasn't the best game in the world. It wasn't. I did say before as well that really we should be absolutely smacking this team up. Okay, 4-1, but the scoreline without watching the game looks like we possibly smacked them up. But when you watch the game, it's a little bit different to that. So maybe a little bit unrealistic to have beat them 6-7-0, whatever. Although I want our 7-up. Liverpool did it to us. Where's ours? We need to absolutely smash teams, and we've just not done that for such a long time. But yeah, we're up to 6. We're just behind Chelsea, who are in 5th, I believe. And in regards to what does that do for us now going into the next game? Well, it's definitely better preparation for Bournemouth, who we've got next. Another Monday night game. Now, clearly, Premier League don't want to put two teams like, I don't know, Leeds and Burnley or something, although that might be quite a good game. But they're obviously wanting that box office, and Manchester United, obviously the most watched team probably around the world, so we put us on Monday nights. It's a killer because you're doing things like this at this time and it's late, but hey ho. Looking forward to some weekend games again. But yeah, what it means is we go into that Bournemouth game at home, so let's see if that makes a difference. But at home, we need to continue I know we have had a loss against Everton, 10 men. Don't want to say that too often. But we need to, as I keep saying, turn Old Trafford into a fortress. And it's not been a fortress for quite some time. So that needs to happen now. Can we beat Bournemouth? I think they've had a little bit of a patchy sort of, not season because I think they started well, but they've had a patchy last sort of few games. But obviously I'll look into that before the preview. That'll be out. So in regards to beating them or doing well against them, I think definitely, so I'm not going to get into any predictions right now, but definitely we have to play better than we've played today if we're going to have any chance of beating Bournemouth. Bournemouth are a good side. I know they haven't been in the best form more recently, but they are a good side. We have struggled against them for the last sort of few seasons, to be honest. So we'd have to play a hell of a lot better than we've played today. Whether that's going to have given us any sort of confidence, hard to say, because I'm sure the players, obviously everyone's professional and it won't come out, but I'm sure the players before the match thought this is an easy game, this easy win. But Bournemouth will be a different challenge, definitely. So, in regards to going back, I think SJ is trying to say that Mount's man of the match for them. Yeah, like I say, I can't overly disagree with that, because obviously Mount's a strong performer in my list. So I've got the man of the match and I've got strong performer down today. So Mount, it was a toss-up between Mount and Bruno, as I said earlier. But I just had Bruno pipping him because of that sort of assist and a couple of goals. So that was the reason why for that. So in terms of sort of final thoughts then, really, yeah, positive result, obviously. Obviously, the result's got to be positive because we've won 4-1 away as well. But it's a strange one, really, because, like I say, it's a positive result. Glad we've won. Amorim doubt, not out, but he's got to do better. He's over a year in now, and the performances have definitely got to improve for me. I'm not in fact, earlier I was sort of seeing patterns, but I've stopped seeing the patterns now, because it just feels like we've gone a little bit overly direct. Now, you can go direct and that's fine, but I think we've gone overly direct for me. So again, I don't know what you guys think, but put your comments in. But I think we've gone overly direct, and we're lacking to see that sort of sustained sort of performance that's going to get you through the tougher games, because a game like today, Wolves gave us loads of opportunities. There was times where Wolves looked horrible and we were just driving. I mean, to be fair, their midfield was bypassed like our midfield can be a lot of the times, and we were just driving at them constantly. We were in their box quite easily. It was seconds and we were there. They didn't put up much of a fight in regards to that. But for us, if we're going to beat low blocks, if we're going to beat teams that are competent, decent, good, you name it, we're going to have to up our performance levels, because I just don't think that our performances are sustainable. And playing like today, you're going to struggle. Even against Bournemouth, we're going to struggle if we don't up that performance. So we need to get to a level of performance so that you can at least carve out some opportunities, and our finishing's got to improve, because we had so many chances today. Like I was saying, what was it, 27 shots, 10 on target. So many shots, so many times through on goal as well. We must have been through on goal at least 3 or 4 times. There was times where they were lining up, because there was, I think it was Mbeumo through on goal, tries to sort of take it around the keeper to a certain extent, or just finesse it around the keeper, should I say, and then spills out, and I think it was Cunha that then takes a shot. That gets blocked. I think it was off the line. And then Ahmad takes a swipe, but I think that went wide. So sort of lining up, and it just shows you the quality of Wolves. So like I say, it is positive win, positive result, but we've got to do better, definitely. So it is one for the goal difference as well, and that is a good thing. A shame to concede a goal, but it's Manchester United for you. So I think because of the time, I'd like to do some, obviously we'll be doing more live streams in the future, and obviously praying for an earlier game so they can do longer live streams. But like I say, as always, thank you for watching the channel. Thank you for watching Dan Talks United. If you haven't subscribed already, why not? But get that subscribe button pressed. Please like, please share, and I will definitely see you on the next one.